Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And now at 6, a massive industrial fire in New Haven escalated to that city's first 4-alarm fire in 29 years. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Bridget Bjorlo. Tonight, crews are still working to clear all the hot spots of burning from that building on River Street. That's where we find Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc.
We'll start with the good news right off the top here, and that is that although 2 people were in this building at the time of the fire, they did make it out safely on their own. The assistant fire chief tells us, however, this fire did put up a good fight for first responders as they dealt with several collapses of the building and explosions inside. A massive fire in an industrial warehouse building on River Street in New Haven caught the eyes of many Wednesday morning.
It was really smoking. It was like a black smoke. So I knew it was real bad.
That billowing smoke came out of the old brick building and could be seen for miles.
One of the Board of Ed electricians called me and said, "Your building's on fire."
Al Barbarato works for a bioscience company located on the end of the building closest to the Quinnipiac River.
The beginning of my warehouse, maybe 100 feet long.
Somehow, it seems the firewalls saved his section.
There's another firewall at this end. That's why the roof is burned out between the firewalls. The firewalls work. I mean, firewall essentially protected our end of the building. So we're lucky, very fortunate.
But about half a dozen other businesses may not be as lucky, which Barbarato says include auto and appliance repair shops, a contractor, and at least one of the Long Wharf Drive food trucks.
The first arriving companies got here. They found a good volume of fire, which increasingly just kept expanding.
Assistant Fire Chief Dan Coughlin says the fire grew to 4 alarms, bringing every New Haven firefighter to the scene and dozens of others from outside cities and towns. They attacked the flames from the outside at first, with parts of the building collapsing and several explosions going off inside.
You will see us starting to pull this stuff out, getting all that trapped fire wrapped up, but this is going to take hours upon hours upon hours.
You don't want to have to do business with firemen, but it gives you a sense of security to know that they're there, ready to react to this sort of stuff.
Now, fire officials tell us the 2 people who got out safely complained of smoke inhalation but refused treatment on scene. They do not know at this point in time why those people were inside the building at the time of the fire. However, they tell us that that information will likely come out during the course of this investigation, which fire officials believe is probably going to take quite some time given the size of this building and the amount of stuff that's now inside that they have to go through. We are in New Haven. Juliette LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, new tonight, Fox 61 got a unique up-close view of the difficult terrain fire crews have been dealing with battling the Hawthorne brush fire in Berlin, but we're told the fire is about to enter a new, more manageable phase. Fox 61's Matt Karen has more insight on why fire officials are cautiously optimistic.
Caused by a careless campfire. You can see just how close this condo community is to Lamentation Mountain, nestled right at the base of it. And take a look at this fire hydrant, tapped into in multiple directions. All this hose being laid. The fire chief told me that if the fire wasn't noticed and reported as quickly as it was, this neighborhood would look a whole lot different. 10 days.
That fire originated just south of us, behind us here on the ridge line.
And 127 acres of scorched earth later.
Fire did encroach on these houses pretty closely. I believe in spots we were no more than maybe 100 feet away from the homes.
The Hawthorne fire is about to enter a new mop-up phase.
So we're really pleading with the public to take this seriously.
State and local fire officials gave Fox 61 an up-close view of the steep, rocky terrain they've had to contend with. Couple that with abnormally dry weather. It rained Tuesday night, but only 4/100ths of an inch.
They really did nothing to help curb the fire danger threat out there. The sunshine's come out, the winds are starting to pick up, and everything's just as dry as it was yesterday.
Operationally, crews have put the water dumping helicopters on standby. They're now only fighting the fire by hand. They've laid more than 1.5 miles of hose. using massive pumps to force the water uphill. What you're looking at behind us is what's called a fire break, a place where they've cleared the vegetation so flames have a more difficult time jumping from one side to the other. Keeping those breaks free of foliage is the new problem.
The oak leaf litter falls off the trees and covers up the lines that we have in. So every morning we're out there clearing those lines, ensuring that nothing can creep back through those lines.
Most of the fire is now smoldering underground like an oven. Crews are digging out the hundreds of hot spots that remain and use thermal imaging drones to locate them.
We'll go in, identify hot spots, put water on them, stir them up, make sure they're not going to be a problem in the future.
And residents like Rich Liz on Seagreen Drive certainly hope that's the case.
A couple times we had sparks flare up in the back, up on top, the hot spots.
His backyard is still lined with fire hose and sprinklers.
You can see the smoke coming up over the mountain.
As the smell of scorched and smoldering earth permeates his property.
These guys are a bunch of heroes. I mean, they're out here every day, and, we set some snacks out for them, some water out for them, and just anything they need.
And it's not just this Hawthorne fire. State fire officials tell me they brought in resources from as far away as Quebec, Canada, to help fight 80 wildfires happening right now across the state. Reporting in Berlin, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Matt, thank you. Turning now to our forecast. It was feeling a lot like summer outside today. So how is Halloween looking?
Yeah, summer with costumes, I guess. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frame joining us now with a look. Warm tomorrow, Rach.
Yeah, usually in New England, it's a safe bet to plan on a costume that keeps you warm. But this year, we're going to be sweating underneath the costumes with record-challenging warmth as we head into the day tomorrow. I think it's the hottest day of the week and even warmer than today was. But overall, 2 more days with this unseasonable warmth before a fall chill returns as we head into this upcoming weekend. Right now, we're looking at temperatures in the 60s to right around 70 degrees. Check out the 24-hour temperature change, anywhere between 3 to as much as 15 degrees warmer than it was at this exact time yesterday. We're near 60 degrees for the news at 11, and as we head towards daybreak, we're dropping back into the 50s. Taking a look at your spooky Halloween forecast, we are starting off dancing with temperatures in the 50s. As we head through the afternoon, highs will be in the upper 70s to low 80s, and by the time you're out trick-or-treating, we're looking at temperatures close to 70 degrees. I just can't help it. It's just like, it's contagious. We're going to talk more about the cooler weather that follows this weekend coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. New tonight, a man is dead in Stamford after being hit by a payloader. It happened just after 8 this morning at a private business. Police say the 64-year-old man was helping a customer behind the business when someone driving the payloader hit him. He died at the hospital. OSHA is investigating.
And Bridgeport police are still searching for a person of interest in a shooting at the University of Bridgeport. Police are looking to speak with Dylan Cruz Tillery. This in connection to yesterday's shooting. You see him on your screen here. One person has non-life-threatening injuries, and police believe the shooting stemmed from an incident between 2 people not directly involved with the university. Anyone with information on Cruz Tillery's whereabouts should call the Bridgeport Police Department.
More former U.S. Coast Guard cadets are coming forward, formally accusing Academy overseers of failing to prevent or address sexual violence on campus. They are joining 13 other former cadets who filed similar complaints a little over a month ago. The cadets are seeking $10 million apiece in damages. And a lawyer in the case says these 22 are just the tip of the iceberg. More plan on coming forward. The complaints stem from incidents dating back to the 1980s and happening as recently as 2017. The Coast Guard says it's making reforms, but offered no comment on this latest round of accusations. Windsor Locks police are investigating after 2 homes were hit by stray bullets. The calls came in around 6 a.m. Sunday morning from homeowners on Gaylord Street reporting their homes were hit. Police believe shots were fired from I-91, which is about a mile away. No one was hurt, but police want to find the person responsible. If you know anything, Windsor Locks police are asking that you give them a call. Well, less than a week now until Election Day in Connecticut's Puerto Rican voters are not forgetting the comments made at former President Trump's New York City rally over the weekend.
Lawmakers joined many of them today, not just denouncing the remarks, but laying out the difference that their vote can make.
Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolforth spoke with legislators and voters.
Connecticut has one of the largest Puerto Rican populations in the country at nearly 8% of residents. And Connecticut lawmakers are now joining Puerto Rican leaders in demanding an apology after those comments while celebrating the territory's culture and contributions.
We are tired of being mistreated, disrespected, and ignored. Puerto Rico deserves better.
A show of solidarity with Puerto Rico Wednesday morning.
I am embarrassed and ashamed for all of us as Americans by these despicable comments. This kind of hate has no place in America.
Those comments made by a comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, during a rally for former President Donald Trump Sunday at Madison Square Garden.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Connecticut state and federal elected officials are responding to those remarks, saying Sunday's rally and the Trump campaign is amplifying racism and bigotry, something they say the community already faces, believing presidential platforms should stand for better.
I came to Stanford at 9 years old from a segregated South, and now at 2024, I'm standing in a country that still talks about how Black people are, how Hispanics are, how women are, negatively, not positively.
State Democrats and Connecticut voters call these comments unacceptable.
That was an insult because we are hardworking people. We go into this country to get ahead and to contribute.
Carmen Labrador was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She moved to Connecticut with her family in 1956. She says she's happy the state's representatives are standing up for Puerto Rico.
I have 3 daughters born and raised and educated here, and I'm very proud to be a Puerto Rican.
Some Connecticut Republicans, like Senator Murphy's challenger Matt Corey, are calling Wednesday's gathering, quote, nothing more than contrived outrage before Election Day. Corey said, quote, they have ignored this community for decades, but suddenly decide to whip up outrage before an election. Former President Trump himself responded to the criticism, calling Sunday's rally, quote, an absolute love fest. Puerto Ricans, whether in their homeland or in Connecticut, have often been an overlooked electorate. Some people even tend to forget they are voting citizens. But now the voting bloc could very well be an election decider. Nearly 1 million Puerto Rican voters live in swing states, especially Pennsylvania. Reporting in Hartford, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.